So we are almost there. At this point, we successfully built the icon library and we successfully built an Angular adapter for it. So the last thing that is missing is to actually implement our single page application. So the single page application is kind of the glue that pulls everything together. Again, here as a reminder in the graphic, we see that we need to import an icon, we need to register an icon, and we need to use the actual component. Since we worked with Greek mythology icons, we are going to implement a small wiki page that just displays some information about those Greek mythology figures. So I already provided a starter project. So this project is nothing special. So it will look like this. So we have like 3 routes. We have a side menu with 3 routes. So we have the Hades routes, the Achilles routes, and the Minotaur routes. And those are all lazy loaded feature modules. And they will simply render a card with some description about the figure in it. And how does it look like in code? So we have some app component and some core, which is the side menu. But this is important, so we have our feature modules, so those are lazy loaded feature modules, Achilles, Hades and Minotaur. So this is standard Angular approach. Each one has its own routing module, and as we can see in the main routing module, so they are lazy loaded, they use the load children function. So the last thing that is missing here is displaying the icons. So to display icons, we actually need to install them. So we are going to install the Greek mythology icons. So this is the icon project we created in the first step, the framework agnostic icon project. But we also need the Angular wrapper. So we are going to install the ng Greek mythology icons. So once installed, both of them get added to our package.json as a dependency, and we can now use them.
In this part, we are going to display icons. Let's start with the Achilles module. To display the Achilles icon, we first go into the Achilles module and import the GM icons module. Importing this module gives us access to the GM icons component, which allows us later on to display the icon. So the next thing that we need is the registry. And to get the registry, we can use a constructor and inject it. So we call it icon registry, or even better, we call it GM icon registry. And we inject the GM icon registry. And this GM icons registry is provided by our ng Greek mythology icons wrapper. So this is the Angular adapter that we previously built. And next, what we need to do is we need to register the icon. So we get access to this register icons method, and there we can pass the icons we want to use inside the Achilles module. And in the Achilles module, we only want to use the Achilles icon. So we can use GM icons, Achilles, and notice this nice auto completion that we get here because of the way we provided our raw SVG icon library with the correct typings. So we import GM icons Achilles and register them to the GM icons registry. By importing this GM icons module, we already got access to the component. So the last thing that is left is displaying the icon. So we can hop over to our HTML, use the GM icons component, and again here we already get this nice auto completion, so we can pass in a name and we get a nice list with available icon names. And again, this is because we provided the raw icon library with svg2ts, which creates all the necessary typing for us. So we get very, very nice auto completion and IntelliSense. So let's check the running application. So in Hades we don't have an icon yet, but for Achilles we can see that we have our icon rendered now. So let's do the same for Hades and Minotaur. We hop over to the Hades module. Again, we will import the GM icons module. Then we will inject the GM icons registry. And we will register the Hades icon. That's everything that is needed in the module. Then we can already go to the component and use the GM icons component and pass Hades down as an icon name. And once we have finished this, we can see that also the hardest icon is displayed. Still the wrong order, but now we have a nicely displayed hardest icon. So let's do the same for the Minotaur. We hop over to the Minotaur module. We again inject the GM icons module. Inside the constructor, we get the GM icons registry. And then we register our icons. So in our case, we want to use the GM icon Minotaur, and then we hop over to the HTML and use it. So GM icons name Minotaur. So then we can see in our application that we have the Minotaur icon displayed, the Achilles icon displayed, and the Hades icon displayed. Another interesting thing is if we pass some icons down that we hadn't registered, so we get this nice auto completion, and let's say we want to render Apollo, and nothing will be rendered because we haven't registered it yet. But inside the console we get this nice error message. So we could not find the icon with the name Apollo. Did you add it to the icon registry? And the user could now, with the help of this tool, he could now find out that the Apollo icon was not yet registered. Throughout this tutorial, we were talking a lot about performance and tree shakeability. In fact, this was the main motivation why we even introduced the registry, tree shakeability. To prove tree shaking, I already installed in this project a tool called Webpack Bundle Analyzer, and the Webpack Bundle Analyzer is an npm package that can analyze our production bundle. So if you run a prod build, you can pass a stats.json flag, which will output a stats.json file inside the this directory, and the Webpack Bundle Analyzer is then capable of taking that file and visualizing it. So once the prod build finishes, a small web app starts up. And this web app now displays our bundles. So we can see that we have a main bundle that is of a size of 230K. Then we have a bunch of other bundles, like we have a polyfill bundle, a runtime bundle, and a common bundle. And especially we have these free bundles with a weird name with some number 657. So those bundles are actually our lazy loaded feature modules. Since we are interested in icons, we want to analyze those bundles further. So let's search for GM icon. So we can see that we have 3 occurrences in the lazy loaded chunks. So we have 1 occurrence of an icon in the Achilles chunk, then 1 in the Hades chunk, and 1 in the Minotaur chunk. And it's important to notice that we don't have any icon included in the main chunk. So icons are not only tree shakeable, but they are also split to the chunk they are actually used in. So let's analyze this further by unchecking all the chunks besides the lazy loaded chunks. So we only have listed the lazy loaded chunks. And we can see that now this lazy loaded chunk includes the Achilles icon, the Hades icon, and the Minotaur icon. So from our icon library that contains around 25 icons, only 3 got included because only 3 are used. And that's super important because performance is very crucial when it comes to web applications, because in the end performance is also about initial download time in JavaScript, and the initial download time is only the main.js, and we don't want to deliver 300 icons in the main.js if we only use 3. So therefore we only want to deliver those icons when they are actually used. That's everything that we need to build our own performant icon library. This tutorial is also available as a blog post. You can hop over to my Medium account, and there you will find how to build your own tree shakeable SVG icons library in less than 30 minutes. This blog post will also walk you through the exact same steps that we saw in this video tutorial. If you like this tutorial, feel free to share it with your colleagues so that they can also take advantage of this approach. If you have any questions regarding this approach, feel free to direct message me on Twitter. Also, feel free to follow me on Twitter. Twitter is usually the place where I post updates about new blog posts, new tutorials, or new open source library that I provide. So thanks for watching, and enjoy building your own icon library